To start off, we were on the outskirts of the city, and then we decided that we couldn't see the dialect guy, whatever.
We tried to follow Delight, and we followed this little path that Kai was tracking him on, and then it led to a main road.
Which ended up pretty badly for us because there was a lot of foot traffic and wagon traffic on that road, so it was impossible for anyone to tell where the smuggler had gone.
We decided as a group that it would have been best to head back into the town and tell the head guard, Lias, what had happened.
Ura and I were still moving incredibly slow at this point, and it was so frustrating. Turns out that that rock that I touched earlier was very magical and very cumbersome. And no matter how many times I try and take it off my person, I threw it against a wall, I gave it to Celeste, it would always find its way back in my pocket. So that was very troubling.
We went back to go talk to Lias, and on our way we found some more barrels, and so we looked through them, found some more arrowheads and some sharp pointy points to knives.
I would look through the barrels that were on the street and found some magical items. I only took one because didn't want to take them all and get caught, which would have been kind of bad. But after that, we went over to Lias. We told him about the situation in the smuggler den.
And told him, hey, you have a big ol' hole in your wall. And at first he was kind of just annoyed because he's like, I can't trust you guys. And so then we showed him the arrowheads and whatnot. And then he was able to trust us. And he's like, okay, well, that kind of sucks. So we'll have to figure that out.
What happened was they had recovered the body from the middle of the town, the fountain, of the halfling woman that we assumed was Myra at the time, and he wanted us to confirm or deny if it was her. And we went down there, and he removed the sheet from her face. It turns out that it was indeed not Myra, and some other halfling, who, I don't know, just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time or something.
But we assumed that it was placed there to kind of throw us off track. Didn't really work, or maybe it did, I don't know.
And so I said, guys, this isn't her, and no one was paying attention. So I walked out, and I was very frustrated, so I'm like, oh my gosh, my party is not paying attention. Why are they doing this? I think Sauter may have heard, but Sauter left right around the time that I did.
At this point, the party kind of took a strange turn. Celeste and Sauter both kind of stormed out. I guess they were complaining that they weren't being paid enough attention to, which is just a crime.
So by the time that had happened, it was already night. So when we got out, we just went back to the inn.
So I ended up going and finding a tavern, hung out at the tavern and talked to the barkeep tavern owner. His name was Ollivander, and lo and behold, he's a dwarf as well. Whoa!
Today, I met one of my own kind. I don't see him very often, so it was quite fun. And I have to say, she brought an old spark into Ollivander's eye. We shared some good mountain ale. I tell you, she reminds me of someone I loved once.
But we got to talking for a while, and he told me about this love story, that he fell in love with an elf.
Unlike the rest of the dwarves, I fell in love with an elf, and I followed her here to Corvin, and I've never left, though she did leave me for an elven man. Yes, it's very sad.
As soon as he said that, I was like, why would you do that? Elves are stupid. Because I mean, I'm a dwarf. We don't talk to elves. We don't associate ourselves with them because they're elves.
I went back to the inn to see if Mira had shown back up. It turns out all of her stuff was gone. It appears that someone hadn't broken in, but more broke out. If that makes any sense, I don't really know.
He suspected that somebody had broken in. I investigated the room myself, and I found that the window had been broken into, but it was very expertly done. So somebody definitely knew what they were doing.
After I slept and, woke up, do the morning stuff. Me and Kai went off to a magic, I guess it was a little weird. I guess the good wizards have to be a little eccentric.
Ura and I really wanted this stupid rock curse to be lifted from us. And so the next morning after breakfast, we decided to head on over to a local wizard named Kali that the innkeeper had recommended to us.
As we walk up, the guy just comes out of nowhere, well, from the back, with this just like tube with billowing fog or whatever, and it's just coming out, which isn't a good sign. And of course he's panicked too.
He ended up being able to take the curse off of the rocks that we had in a very strange fashion. He dubbed them clean, and he threw them back at me, and I caught them with a little bit of trepidation, but I haven't felt a heaviness since then, so I would assume that he did indeed clean the rocks completely, which is a relief.
It was weird though. He made me pay 20 while Kai only paid 15, which is just weird. But of course I also had my sword, which instead of being cursed, it was just enchanted wrong. So some stupid person out there just was like, meh, and just did it wrong, which is really annoying. You're supposed to test those things before you sell it.
Yeah, then Celeste ended up joining us as well in the store because she just wanted to join up and see what we were up to.
When I was walking through the bazaar, I also ran into this flower lady, and she was interesting girl. She was very, very like, I want you to buy my flowers. They're so pretty. There's the Festival of Lights happening this evening, and everybody buys their lover a flower. Do you want to buy a flower?
Hello, I'm the flower girl in the town of Corbin. Tonight we had the Firelight Festival, and it was really great because I sold a lot of my father's flowers, because you're supposed to give a flower to someone that you like a lot. It's a really good time of the year for the business.
We got to witness a really, really interesting interaction between the shopkeeper, Kali, and this really cute flower girl from a town. She came in the store and awkwardly gave him some flowers, offered him some, which she promptly ate.
It was really great because, Kali and I think we're together. I'm not really sure because he's not really a person of words.
And it was all very strange. But I ended up buying some flowers from her. I don't know. I thought she was a nice person, and I do like flowers, so I took a couple and then put them in my little book, pressed them in my book for safekeeping.
Flower girl was selling flowers and for this festival. I really didn't care about it. It brought up bad memories of my hometown.
There was some festival going on. I really wasn't paying attention. I was more focused on when I was in the cave. I found a scroll, and that scroll had a weird writing on it. I believe it was infernal writing.
And so Sauter was spending a great deal of time trying to figure it out and translate it. And on our way back into the city from the sewer, Celeste took it to look at it, and she was like, oh yeah, this is infernal, and then she just ripped it in half. And it was so funny. It was so funny, and everyone was kind of miffed at me that I was laughing, but I couldn't help it because the situation was so perfect.
After a while I was able to decipher exactly what it meant. It took me a day to do it, which kind of sucks, but whatever. So after I got that done, I went straight to Elias and told him what was up. He said that we needed to go to...
Went back to the captain of the guard, and Sauter had talked to him because he had translated the piece of paper that he had, and it said that Delet was going to another town, Poverma.
And it turns out he wanted us to head to this Porova, or some weird city starting with a P.
Laius said he'd be really grateful to us if we could check it out, and he was willing to give us the gold that the smugglers had originally intended to give us, which I thought was kind of a weird justice in and of itself.
He's like, yeah, just leave in the morning and we'll have horses for you. It'll be great. Sauter was very impatient. He wanted to go that evening, and we're just like, calm down.
Decided that we were not going to leave that night, and Laius wasn't going to be ready for us till the next morning, and there was this Firelight festival going on in town that night, and so we decided to participate, go and enjoy the sights or what have you.
So I basically just stayed in the center of town and at like the fountain, and I played music for everyone. I kept casting Inspire Courage, so that way everyone could find a lucky thing, whatever they're into.
And then we went and we hung out at the Festival of Lights, so that was fun. I ran into Ollivander a couple more times. Earlier that day he had given me a locket with his lost elf lady friend's hair in it. Little weird. Really weird.
I ended up talking to the flower girl some more, and she asked me about Kali. We had a brief conversation, and it ended with her running after him to his little shop.
I really think that it was a good Firelight festival because Kali made some fireworks with some phosphorus. It was a little smelly, but it was one of the prettiest things we've ever seen in the town, and Kali's never done that before. I sold some of my flowers to some of the travelers that came in, and I really think that it will bring them happiness in the future.
Everyone else had fun, it seems. They all got back pretty late, I think. Which, unfortunately, when we woke up, we were, did not wake up at dawn like we were instructed to, so by the time we got out to the East Gate where we were told to go, let's just say Laius was not that happy with us. But oh well.
He gives us the horses, and then we see Ned. Ned's back. Apparently Ned was a double agent who is working with the guards in order to catch the smugglers.
Anyway, so Laius was sending Ned with us as an added precaution, kind of, and Ned would know where we needed to go and the guy that we needed to talk to once we got to our destination. So with that, we set off.
We went into a fork. One to the right was longer, but it was flatter. But the other one was quicker, and unfortunately went through the mountains and whatnot.
At the end of the night, or towards the end of the night, I got into a flatter area of the mountains, and there was we saw a little campfire in the distance. And being as I'm one of the stealthiest of the group, I snuck over and took a peek inside, and there were a bunch of men kind of brusquely, kind of bandit-ish, all like laughing in a circle, and two of them were fighting.
Turns out they were actually a mercenary group, so if they weren't getting paid, they weren't gonna kill us. Thankfully.
Urot challenged Mercy, who's their toughest fighter, who is a pretty badass woman.
We fought fist against fist, and I lost badly. She knocked me right out, and that's all I remember, really.
I'm excited to get to the city that I know the name of.
Seriously!
This is me talking to future editing Dalton. I'm making more work for you because I care. And you'll hate me for it now.